Howdy folks. Today we are going to take off this tyre, which is kind of flat and worn out now. You can kind of see there it's not much tread left in the middle, and the outside's still okay, but hey, you know. The other thing is as well, I never bothered changing this, but when I bought this, the previous owner or the bike shop they went to put this tyre on backwards. That's not a big deal. The problem is that it is a directional tyre. You can see there, don't know if you can see that, but rotation. If it's on the rear, the arrow's pointing this way and it should be pointing the other way. Now again, it's not a huge deal, but we're going to change a tyre anyway, and I thought what a great time to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put some gloves on. I've already dirtied my hands, what's the point? I'm going to put some gloves on anyway, and I'm going to change this tyre. I'm going to give the chain a bit of a wipe down and a clean, although I'm not too fussed about that. I'm going to degrease everything. You can see a lot of chain lube has flown off and hit the wheel. That's filthy. I'm going to clean that, and then I'm going to put the new tyre on. I'll show you how to do that, and then I'm going to wash the motorcycle, but you don't need to see that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's get stuck into it. The first thing I'm going to do is release this split pin, get rid of that, and I've got a replacement one I'll show you in a moment. And then we're going to undo this nut. Now we don't undo the bigger nut. The reason for that is because that's holding on the brake drum here, or I should say the brake assembly. So we're just going to push the axle through and pop the wheel off. The good thing with the Royal Enfields is you don't have to remove the chain and the disc and all that stuff to do that. So I'm going to show you all of that right now. Old split pins out, we'll be replacing that. So I'm using a 24mm, and we're just going to break this nut. I'm using a breaker bar here, but you can also use a socket wrench if you need to. And the axle basically just pushes through. I'm going to go around the other side and do that now. Okay, a couple of things to be wary of. I've pulled the axle out. Don't forget the spacer, and also you've got your cam as well for adjusting your chain. Now I'm going to be adjusting the chain anyway, and I'm going to look at the both sides on here to make sure the wheels are aligned. So I'm not too fussed right now that that's popped off. The chain is a little bit on the loose side. If I was on a ride, I wouldn't be too fussed about it, but I am going to adjust it anyway. So there you go. The axle's pretty clean. That's good to know that it's been greased and well looked after, so that's great. Now next thing is the wheel should basically pop off, and I should be able to slide it out on the left hand side because the muffler's blocking the right hand side. So it turns out the motorbike isn't quite high enough to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some bricks underneath the center stand, and just get the back end up off the ground a bit. And there we go, folks, the wheel's out. So that's pretty much it. Got the push drive in here. Looks to be in fairly good condition. Give the bearing a little bit of a spin by hand just to feel it. That feels alright to me. I don't feel any other movement. There's one on this side as well. Now you got to be careful. Sorry, I was probably out of view there. I'm not sure if you can see this. There's another spacer right here, so you've got to be careful with that as well. So make sure that stays in there. Now, next thing I'm going to do is deflate the tyre, get the tyre off, and get the inner tube out. Put the new tyre back on in the right direction, in the correct direction, and yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm going to take this 12mm nut off that wasn't really on that tight anyway. So we're just going to remove that as well. Leave that somewhere safe as well. And then I'm going to do the lazy thing and take the air out of the tyre nice and slowly. Okay, so that's probably enough for me to break the bead on this. So I'm going to stand on it and do that. Alright fellas, so you could see that it's not exactly the most easiest thing to do, but I've got the bead broken and I just stepped down on it, and that was enough pressure to break the bead. Now you can't always do this with every tyre. Certainly wouldn't do it with a sports bike tyre. I certainly wouldn't try this on my Harley. The sidewalls on the Metzeler 888 Ultra Marathons are so tough that even the tyre machine I was using was struggling with it. So this is pretty easy, but you can hear I'm a bit out of breath. Now the next step, now that I've got the bead off, is to get the inner tube out. So it'll be pushing the valve through, pull the inner tube out, and the easy part after that is getting the tyre off the rim. I'll give the rim a bit of a clean. I'll check the rim tape, a rust on the inside, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And the next thing I'll do is probably clean the outside of the rim, and it's just easier cleaning it without the tyre on there. And then I'll whack the new tyre on, put the inner tube in, pop the bead on, and see if I can use my hand pump. If I can't use my hand pump, then what I will do is I'll just drive up to the local petrol station, because I don't have a an air compressor here. So yeah, let's continue. Alrighty, so this tyre is telling me the rear's going that way. What we need to do is swap the direction because that's the way it's going to go. Before I do anything though, I'm going to give the rim tape a bit of a clean, inspect the rest of the tyre and see what sort of condition we have here. The rim tape looks pretty good to me. What we need to do is first of all make sure that the direction is correct. So this side is the side that faces your left side. That's forward. This is the back. When you're riding, the wheel spins this way. So I'm going to lay the wheel down like this, and my rotation is up here, and it needs to go this way. Okay. Alright folks, so this side's the chain drive side, which is our right hand side, and the other side's the left hand side. So when you're riding in a forward motion, the wheel spins this way, so clockwise, and you can see here that my rear arrow is pointing clockwise, not anti-clockwise. Hope you can see that. So next thing I'm going to do is get the bottom side bead onto the rim. Then we're going to put our tube in, okay, and then we're going to put the top side in and then blow it up. Okay, so what I did just then was see the yellow dot there. I'm lining that up exactly with the valve stem. Now I just need to make sure the yellow dot is still lined up with our valve. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is put our inner tube back in. So what I tend to do is I start with the valve, and notice I've kept the inner tube a little bit inflated. It makes it a bit easier to kind of just feed it in. Yeah, easy. Yeah, valve is lined up with the yellow dot. The direction is the correct way around. Nice new tread. Compare the old one with the new one. Look at how much more tread there is there. I don't know if you could see that if it's in focus. Who knows? I'm going to pump this up, put it back on the bike, and then we'll go for a little test ride and make sure everything's okay. I'm going to pump it up with my little bicycle pump.
So the reason I'm doing it this way, first of all, I want to see if it will pump up. I say this and I do it this way is because if you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and this is all you've got, then this is all you've got. How's that? Is that better? We're going to be here a while. I think I'm going to stop. I'm going to check the tyre pressure and see where it's at. I don't want to overinflate it. If the bead's not popping, you can do two things. One, you can deflate it, which is unfortunate, but you might have to, and just spray a bit of petrol or soapy water or degreaser, WD-40, something that's going to lubricate this surface and make it pop. The problem is by the time I hand pump this, that is going to evaporate, so I don't want to do that. The second option, and apologies for the wind, the second option is hit it with a big hammer, or a mallet actually, not a hammer, which, you know, inverted commas, I didn't pack, although I have one right behind me in the shed here if I need it. But I'm going to keep going and see where we end up. I feel like this bead here is starting to pop out. And I've only got this little quarter section here of the tyre, which you may or may not be able to see up the top there, and same as the other side. It looks like it's doing the same thing right in the same spot. Yeah, I think I'm going to check the tyre pressure. I'll be right back with my tyre gauge. Let's check what we're sitting at. About 32.5 psi. Alright, we're up at 38 psi. So we're getting close to the 40 mark. This side looks almost like it has. Let's check the other side. You know what, I'm going to say that looks alright, and I'll show you why. Hang on. So what I'm looking at is, see this line right here, just below the rim? If we go around, it looks pretty even on all sides, whereas before it wasn't. And the other side looks it too. Okay, so I think we're okay. Beauty. Now don't forget your spacer that goes back in. Not on that side. So what I've done now is I've loosened off the belt, so what I've done now is I've loosened off these two nuts here. You probably can't see the other one hiding behind the exhaust. I'll bring out. So I've undone this big nut here, which is a 30, don't know if you can see that, 30 mil. So I've done that, I've loosened that off so I can knock this tyre back a bit. I've adjusted the other side, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to put you back down and adjust this side because I'll need 2 hands. Then I'll nip everything up, tighten up the axle nut, and take the bike for a test ride. So my battery's about to die, but there's the split pin back in there. Chain has been adjusted. I'm going to take it for a test ride and then come back and give it a wash, or maybe I'll wash it first.